Hey kids, JD here. Part 3 in the YouTube Expert or YouTube Marketer series. Today we're going to cover hamster wheels and are they making you chase one? Now, about a year ago, I found a video from a guy named Izzy Nobra, Brazilian guy, who brought up an interesting point. And that is that all of these YouTube experts and internet marketers, in his opinion, are wrong. I'll leave his username channel down here. The big question is he right? I don't know, but let's look at some things and find out together. Thing number 1, thumbnails. If it's one thing that these guys like to harp on and on and on and on about, it's thumbnails. Now, some people argue and say thumbnails not important. Look at all the people that don't have one. YouTube experts will say, no, this is super important to grab people's attention. Okay, perhaps they're right. But once again, I have one of those little questions. How do their thumbnails look? I mean, if you go ahead and you look at the YouTube expert thumbnails, what do they have? Well, let me tell you what you have. Now, I can't actually show you the examples because I don't want there to be any copyright infringement or anything, or them to be able to do a DCMA takedown. But if you look around, you'll see these guys what they have. Okay, guy number 1, mugs in front of the camera. That's great, except human beings don't actually look like that. They don't actually act like that. Are you sure this is going to get you the positive reaction that you want? Maybe it will. Who knows? But maybe it won't. Guy number 2 basically at one point had 2 templates, and that's all he ever did was switch between one and the other. I think he's up to like 5 now. If you're supposed to create great thumbnails for your audience, but every one of them looks nearly exactly the same, are you really making a great thumbnail? They're telling you to put effort forth all the time to do it. Why doesn't he? So another guy goes and basically he takes a still, or they take a picture of whatever they're currently shooting, and then he just might add some text on the bottom or block part of the screen off and put some text there, which isn't bad, but isn't that what a lot of people are doing? I mean, if that's all it is, why are people going through all this effort? It's lazy thumbnail making. I mean, maybe it works for him, who knows? But maybe, just maybe, if it was really important, wouldn't he do more than that? Or do better than that? Finally, one guy got apparently art advice or something from somewhere and created something that looks like Jackson Pollock had an epileptic seizure. I mean, you can't tell what the thing's about. He puts a lot of effort into it, but it's no good if you can't see what it is. If they don't treat their thumbnails better than that, if they're not putting forth that work, if they're not doing that, then how much difference can it actually make? I mean, I'm sure that it makes difference. Some difference, but how much? I don't know. The next thing is the equipment. Now, they tell you at first you can just go ahead and use your cell phone. Okay, great. But then you need to probably upgrade to a camera. Okay, great, but isn't an iPhone pretty much just as good as a camera these days for most people? Well, not only do you need to do that, but you need to make sure that your lighting is just perfect. And go ahead and spend a few $100s on that. Okay. Don't forget to get 2 or 3 microphones depending on your situation. Oh, and a good sound audio interface is probably a really good idea too. In fact, if you're not live streaming, you're not even trying. So make sure you have a computer set up for that, as well as anything else you might have. Don't forget, you might need stock footage at some point, so go ahead and sign up for a stock footage service. Hey, did I tell you I have an affiliate link for that? Oh, and if it's one thing that makes a difference, it's music. But don't worry, I've got an affiliate link for that too. It's almost to the point where you wish they would just come out and say, look, we don't think you can do it unless you spend $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, especially from our store. If they just come out and say that, that might even be fine. But that's not what they're doing. Now, the problem here is, first of all, affiliate problem, like I mentioned last week. But secondly, look at all the channels that don't do that, okay? For example, any of these outdoor channels, RVs and that, sure, they'll have some extra cameras because when you're outside, you might not want to use your best camera if you're out on a lake. You might, but you might not. But they certainly don't have expensive lighting. I mean, in their set, you're looking at it. It's right here. It's nature. You're not spending any money on that. They might have some music if they dare to put it in because YouTube can do takedowns at any point. Same thing with stock footage. I mean, a lot of them, what do they need stock footage for? They already have a channel. And don't you think it's glaringly obvious when you all of a sudden insert one of those clips into the middle of one of your works? If you don't have a camera that looks like the camera and graded the way that they do, you know, it's not going to work. It's going to be obvious what you're doing. Another good example of this is about 2 weeks ago, this rapper named Pusha T put out a diss track on another rapper named Drake. If you're not into that kind of thing, I totally understand. But go watch the reaction video, okay? Most of the reaction videos that are out there is just somebody with their cell phone in wherever the heck they live. And you know what they have? Views. Do you know why? Because they're staying up with trends. And because people are interested in seeing reactions. They don't have these multi-cajillion dollar setups. They use what they have, they make videos, and they do pretty well. So if you can just go and slap something together like that, how important is this equipment? How important is it really? Or is it just a matter of, again, the hamster wheel? We'll give you a reason why you can't succeed, which is not content or charisma, which are the most important things. Let's just throw other things out there that we can make videos on and just keep them chasing the wheel. I don't know. So the last thing this week we're going to talk about is the SEO tools, the search engine optimization, or how to make Google understand what your video really is. So if you were to believe them, everything is distilled down to getting the right tags, getting the right actions, making sure that you have cards, making sure that you have end screens, making sure that your title is so long, your description is so long, contains so many keywords. I mean, a lot of these SEO tools are going to tell you that. It's literally going to be there, and you can just check the box off as you do each one. And of course, the keyword thing, as we mentioned last week. We'll see if we can put a card up there. Now, here's a little thing you may or may not have known. Do you know that Google has its own keyword planner that's free for you to use if you sign up for one of their AdWords accounts? It's true. You can go find videos on it. There's another tool, and I think it's called Keywords Everywhere. I use it, and I think it pulls from that database. So it literally just goes right down the database and says how many people are looking at it, how much this keyword is worth. Can be very useful, especially once you can monetize. You might be able to plan for keywords that might bring you in a little more money. So we have at least one thing right there. Now, I'm not saying the tags aren't important. I'm not saying that that stuff isn't important, but how important is it? All right. If you saw my Kashundi video, which again will be a card up here, but if you saw it, if you have a keyword tool, you can look and can see I'm actually ranked in a bunch of the searches. I'm ranked. Do you know why that is? And they want you to be ranked. They want you to have first page positions if you can, and that is important. Do you know why I'm there? Because Kashundi is a specialty Indian dip from one particular region of India. It isn't something like, say, chicken vindaloo, which is very popular. It's not hard to score high in a category when nobody's looking for it. You know, I also kind of did that with the Annette Carry-On video. You know, with that video, I basically just wanted to see if I could turn a video out fairly fast. That was the whole purpose of that. Besides, you know, that way if something comes up, I can just write it up just make a video real quick, put it out. Can I do that? And it happened to be successful. But literally all I did is I just went through other people's listings and copied down their successful keywords. That's it. Keywords aren't copyrighted, and I just happened to get in at the right place, right time. I guess people shared it. You know, it's great. That's where most of the views of my channel came from. But if that's all it is, what do you need their tools for? Besides the obvious, oh, it's affiliate links, more money for them. So if you can get the keywords either from copying from other people or from a keyword planner, what do you need their product for? Can't you just look for things that are important and make a checklist and say, okay, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. You know, and some of it, the suggestions they have, share on Twitter. Well, that's great. What if you don't have any followers on Twitter? What if you don't have followers on Facebook? You have a separate account maybe from your real name. What good is it going to do you then? Will it do you any good? And again, what difference does any of this make if your videos suck? What possible difference can it make if your videos are awful? Shouldn't you be working instead on you? At least at first. Shouldn't you be working on your delivery? Shouldn't you be working on maybe your camera skills? You know, maybe try art skills. I'm not an art guy. It's hard for me. I'm sure it's hard for other people too. I imagine it's a whole metric ton easier to tell somebody, look, just spend your time on these tools, spend money on these tools, than it is for the fairly obvious thing, which is, well, make your stuff interesting first, and then people will want to subscribe. You know, learn how to speak a little more effectively. But again, it's a lot easier to monetize the hamster wheel, isn't it? It's a lot easier to keep people running in circles and then eventually have them come to you and pay several $100s for consulting or for their coursework or whatever. You know, could it be that there's a reason there's a hamster wheel, or what seems like a hamster wheel? I don't know if it is, okay? But if you're out there and you watch this and you have any experience with this, leave comments below. And again, I'm not saying that they're bad people or anything. I mean, it just seems a certain way to me, and I'm asking questions, hoping somebody out there can answer. So, on that note, it's the hour's getting late, the sun's coming up over the valley, so gotta go. Until next time, I'm JD.